Okay, so now we're going to get into outcomes and when you would use an outcome, how you'd use an outcome. So the first thing we do to set up an outcome is we go over here on the left and click on outcomes. Now, outcomes might be something that you already have here that are prescribed by your district or by your state even. What we're going to do is we're going to create an outcome. So here we're going to say this outcome, maybe gravity. Correct understanding of gravity. And we'll just call this gravity. So when we do this, what we're going to do is down here you might put the specific, high school science standards. So we're going to be NGSS, HS, and then this is going to be PS 2-1. So back here we might say this is 2-1. And then we want to put the whole standard here, or excuse me, the performance expectation. So this is going to be your entire performance expectation. So down here now, you're going to choose how many levels there are and what each level is worth. So right now we have three levels: does not meet, meets, and exceeds. If you want to put an additional level in, you can put that level in, and you can put it at a 4. You can put another one in and put it at a 2, and another one in and put it at a 1, depending on how you have things set up. So you have all those set up, and you're going to choose where you have mastery. So here we have mastery at 3. You might, if you add additional levels, you might have mastery at a different point. Now right here, this determines their final score on this outcome. So right now, the decaying average means that the most recent result counts as 65. You average all other counts. So in this example, if these were assigned to this outcome, if there was a 1, a 4, a 2, you can see this here, then your final score is going to be a 5 on this outcome, because the most recent score of a 6 is weighted at 65%. The previous 6 attempts are averaged and weighted at a 35%. Now you get to choose. You might even want to say just the most recent score. So here you can see we got a 1, 4, 2, 3. It's going to be a 3 because that's their most recent score on that outcome. So now we're going to go ahead and hit save. Now we have this outcome set up. We can move it, we can edit it, we can do what we want. That's how you set up an outcome. Now that we have an outcome set up, we can place that outcome on a rubric. So right here, we're going to manage our rubrics, and we don't have any rubrics set up, so we're just going to add a rubric. So this will be understanding of gravity rubric. Now on this rubric, we can set this stuff up so that we have, you get to choose how many levels there are, and you get to choose what the point value of each level, and you get to choose the description. Well, you can also throw an outcome on this rubric. So we're going to use this criterion right here for scoring. We're going to go ahead and import this. Now we have an outcome. That outcome is on this rubric. So you could get a score for the outcome, or the outcome is a part of the rubric score. So if you only want the outcome to be the rubric, then you would just delete this other one. Now when you grade the assignment that is associated with this rubric, now you're going to give them a scaled ranking of the outcome. Now they might have more than one assignment that has to do with this outcome. So we're going to go ahead and create this rubric, and then we're going to be good to go. Now if we would like, let's say this assignment is we're going to give, let's see here, we'll do this assignment. This assignment, we would like to add a rubric to grade this assignment. And on this rubric, we would like, we can either find a rubric or we can find an outcome. So if you're going to find a rubric, you're going to have to find the one that is the understanding of gravity rubric. If instead of finding the rubric, you wanted to find an outcome, so in this case, we made a rubric that was the outcome. You could have a rubric that only had the outcome as a portion of the rubric. So rather than finding a rubric here, then you would just find an outcome, and you would link this outcome, and we would get rid of this. So now we have the rubric that is the outcome again. Down here you get to choose. Are you going to grade this rubric? And if so, are you going to use this scale to grade it? How are you going to provide comments? So then we could just create this rubric. So now this assignment is associated with this rubric. Another thing to show you, we can assign a different rubric, a different assignment, the same rubric. So here we did this one assignment. So we could come down here to assignment number 2. And assignment number 2, you might associate with the same outcome. And we'll get rid of this. So now we have 2 assignments, both of which are assessing the same outcome. If the student got a 3 on the first one and a 5 on the second one, now their score on this outcome is going to be a 5. So we create this. If you want to view this is the actual performance expectation. Now from the teacher end, so here we have this first assignment. You can see that these are the, this is the outcome we're trying to meet. This is the rubric to meet that outcome. So we haven't graded any, so let's go into Speed Grader. In Speed Grader, this is a, so I just typed it in, this was a test account. I just typed in my submission here. So here I can view the rubric and I can say exactly what they met and what they didn't meet. I can also add some comments as needed. Now if I were to go, so let's say I got a 3 on this one, and we'll submit that. Click the wrong one, there we go. So we got a 3 and that met expectations. So now let's go back to the course. That was where I wanted to be there. So here, I click on this. It is marked as a complete. Now you'll notice that this still hasn't been marked as complete. So let's go in as a teacher. Let's go into the course, and we're going to go to the second one where I also submitted something. And for this one, I'm going to say, so 0 out of, oops, that's not what I wanted. I'm going to go to Speed Grader. So now here, it was a URL submission that I had. So I put this URL in. I'm going to view the rubric, and I'm going to say it's a 0 out of 0, or 0 out of 10, excuse me. So it was out of 5 points, but because I told the grade to be out of 10, it's a 0 out of 5, 0 out of 10. I can change that up here, but if right now I'm done, so we're going to go back to the grade book, and you can see that this assignment does not have a grade on it. There is a specific type of grade book. If your institution is purchasing this edition, it's called the Mastery Gradebook. So if we go into example course again, and we go to grades, up here there would be an option to switch to Mastery Gradebook. We don't have that option, but the Mastery Gradebook would then use, we made those outcomes and we linked multiple assignments to that outcome. It would essentially, instead of giving you a course total or a course grade, it would give you mastery grades. So based on all of the assignments that are linked to mastery or linked to outcomes, how are you coming on each of those outcomes? Now you can also, if we go, let's go here, we can go in our question bank. So in the question bank itself, let's do this one. And this question right here, or in the question bank, we can align it to a specific outcome. So you're, instead of, let's go right here. So here's the question itself. We can't align the question itself to an outcome, but we can align the question bank to an outcome. So here, if we want to align it to this outcome, you have to give it a mastery percentage. So at what percentage in this question bank would you consider mastery? Now again, we get to choose if it's right now we have it set at the latest score. So if the most recent score for mastery is so that would be this one right here. So you could say that's 80%. So at 80%, this would then be considered mastered. If they were to get a 75% on a quiz, that's not mastered then. So that's how you can use outcomes with rubrics and outcomes with mastery, and how that feeds into a mastery gradebook. Again, that's currently an additional feature. You'd have to opt in on Canvas.